Welcome back to the discussion segment of the Idea Morning Digest. Today, we will be looking at the role of natural medicine in TB control. Natural medicine plays a crucial role in enhancing tuberculosis, especially in resource-limited settings. With TB claiming millions of lives annually, integrating herbal remedies, dietary changes, and lifestyle modifications can support traditional treatment. These natural approaches may strengthen the immune system, alleviate symptoms, and reduce side effects from conventional TB medications. Today, we are honored to have Professor Emeje, the Director General and CEO of Nigerian Natural Medicine and Development Agency, who will be shedding light on this all-important topic. Welcome, Prof. It's good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. So, it's World TB Day today, and there's a growing concern. In 2023, over 1 million people were lost to tuberculosis. And I am sure that if you check the records today, that number must have doubled. But today, I really want to know, how serious is TB in Nigeria today, and what are the major gaps in preventing it and the treatment?
Okay, thank you. There will always be statistics. Figures will always be bandied. The unfortunate thing, however, is that most of these figures that we quote or we send around are based on studies conducted in other climes, because where research and development is taken seriously, then you can be sure that data like this will be available for use. And that's the narrative we are trying to change now. And the last 2 years of this administration, a lot of this is changing. If you look at the landscape, the health care landscape in Nigeria, a lot of emphasis is now being placed on at the primary health care level, because that's where everything is. So tuberculosis is not a joke. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about it. It's a very serious issue. Just like any other disease, but infectious disease like tuberculosis is serious, and we are also serious about it. It's a huge issue. I doubt if anybody knows exactly the number of people that have tuberculosis in Nigeria. Because for you to know, you must go to places where there are people. You don't conduct your study in Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt and tell us this is the number of people that have tuberculosis. Okay? And there are so many people that cannot even go to the hospitals. That where we have hospitals, there are people who can go. Even though the treatment for tuberculosis is free in government, in public institutions, but there are people who cannot even pay the transport from their own village to where the hospital is, because most of the hospitals are in local government headquarters. And then for someone to take a vehicle about 20 to 30 kilometers before getting to local government headquarters, and he will need to spend 3,000 naira. He will use it to eat food instead of using it to transport him or herself to go and get any free medication. Okay, so TB is a huge problem. Tuberculosis is a huge problem. But suffice it to say that even before we knew what I call the educational tuberculosis, these diseases have their own names in our communities, and then our communities have a way of taking care of these diseases in our communities. Okay. And that's where natural medicine comes in. Okay. Yes. Okay. But in fact, and I should also quickly tell you that even the synthetic drugs, what we call first-line drugs today, that is synthetic drugs, that's allopathic drugs, that's imported drugs that we use today for treatment of tuberculosis. Some of them are actually from natural resources, yes. From soil, from organisms, from plants, and all of that.
Thank you very much, Prof. That was insightful.
So natural medicine is everything.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to history a little. Okay. So history tells us that traditional medicines have been used for centuries, for a while now, or for centuries rather, to treat respiratory infections and diseases and whatnot. But like you mentioned, herbs like maybe ginger, bitter kola, and just like you rightfully say, some of these orthopedic, did I pronounce it correctly? Allopathic rather, medicines were gotten from herbal were gotten from herbs like ginger, kola nut, and whatnot. But in as much as these herbs create support, at least to calm symptoms down, can they be used to treat symptoms, or can they be used to cure TB? So my question is, how has traditional medicine now been used to cure TB? What are those remedies, those specific remedies known to be effective?
Okay, thank you. First, I'm not going to tell you about specific remedies because I'm a professional. Okay. I don't know if you know, I'm a pharmacist, and we won't go on in the media and begin to call names of drugs. It's against some professional. You need to see your doctor and then see your pharmacist, before you get your drug. So we don't come on air and begin to call drugs that should be used for any form of disease or not. But let me quickly tell you this. Especially those of you who are in this modern media outfit, you need to calm down. You need to be careful the narrative that you push there, because you seem to own the media space now in the world. And so you need to do a lot of practical research. And when I say practical research, I'm saying non-Google research. That's talk to us so that you know some of these things before you put them out, okay? So, I'm saying this because, see, there's nothing like natural medicine is for symptomatic treatment of any disease, okay? I just told you now that even the synthetic drugs that we have now, that we make many of them from the natural medicines. Okay, so if I made a synthetic drug from a natural medicine, natural raw material, so why will you think that that natural raw material couldn't do the treatment, that it is the synthetic one that will do the treatment? No, it is the scale and speed and duration and dose. Those are the things that we manipulate when we do synthesis in the laboratory. Now, traditionally, in fact, let me tell you, I don't know the religion you practice, but what do you think was the mixing of saliva with sand in those days? What do you think it was? What do you think the garden that was put in place by God and put man and woman there to go and be using those plants? What do you think it was? What do you think it was when God told somebody, go to that river and dip yourself inside 7 times, and then he did and he was healed? What do you think it was? Do you understand? These are natural medicines and they are curative. So the beauty of natural medicine is that it's both preventative and so that's why we say it is holistic, right? And for your information, I've just told you, and we should know that most people in our parts of the world cannot access, they cannot afford synthetic or foreign medicines. But they are not dying as much as those of us who are even in town. Many of them are living 100 to 120 years in our villages. Can you show me anybody in Abuja who is 100 years? It's when you have to go to our villages to see people who are over 100 years. Why do you think it's like that? So, look, my friend, as you are ignoring them, they are also in the village taking care of themselves very well. So, we need all those of us who think we are too educated, we are professors, we are doctors, we are pharmacists, we are Gen Zs, you are the one that old media. All of us who are in that space, let us humble ourselves, calm down, begin to go to the villages to understand what is happening there so that we can harness it and begin to put it side by side across. It irritates really, because if you look at the years of the strategies we have been using, it's the same strategies and models we have been using, and we are still saying the thing is increasing now. check the statistics of TB prevalence between 2000 and 2023 and see why did we have increase. So if something is not working and the strategy that you are using for that thing that is not working is what you continue to use, are you sure you are okay? So so that's the reason why we should not be talking about whether it is curative or not, because it is. Just like it is not every synthetic drug, and I'm talking as a pharmacist now. Just like, because I can tell you that it's not all our drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, that can cure some diseases.
True.
There are some diseases that our drugs are meant to manage. So why are you not bad-mouthing that one, and you are bad-mouthing the traditional medicine that cannot cure certain disease? Because in traditional medicine, there are products, there are medicines that can cure certain diseases, just like they are in allopathic medicine. In traditional medicine, there are also medicines that cannot cure certain diseases, but it will only be used for management, just like it is also in allopathic medicine. Okay, so what we want to achieve at the level of the federal government in the Renew Hope, space that we are now, is the fact that generally we are losing touch with our culture. People are beginning to be ashamed of the culture, the African culture, Nigerian culture, okay? But we sneak into Asia and use their products, which is based on their own culture.
Yeah.
So we are trying to renew the hope of our people in our culture now.
I like how you use
I
that.
think that would lead me
Yes.
to my next question, Prof.
Yes, okay.
So you're talking about how we can harness what we have.
Yes.
But the big question is, can we really integrate our natural medicine into what we have as a modern medicine? And what are the biggest challenges in achieving this? Because you've stated really that we have these things.
Yes.
So why are we not integrating
In
it into
abundance.
the mainstream?
Okay, so see, first of all, the direct answer to your question is yes. I'm saying it because, I appear in the media a lot, and sometimes it's when you are ready to talk that they'll tell you the time is over. So let me just say quickly that the answer is yes. However, the priority of this agency, the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, in our Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, is not to pursue integration. No. You see, when you say you want to integrate, it means that all the parties who are existing independently have to agree to come together to become one and exist. No, that's not what we are preaching. That is the ultimate goal based on the mandate of the agency, right? But we want coexistence. We want coexistence. It can even be parallel. There are countries, and there are things we don't need to bother ourselves like reinventing the wheel. Because if you check around the globe, there are countries that do parallel or coexistence. There are countries that have full integration. If you are privileged to have trained in China like I did, you will see that there's full integration. If you are privileged to train in India like I did, you will see that it is coexistence, right? So what we are preaching in Nigeria, and what I'm driving with my colleagues at NNMDA, is hybrid method, where people have options. You see, as it is today, people don't have option. You see, the over 160 million Nigerians who cannot afford imported medicines. They are using traditional medicine because they cannot afford the imported medicine. So it's not that it's a choice. Then the 40 million vocal elites, that including you people here, who use the imported medicines because you can afford it. So when you have headache, you just go to a private hospital. They charge you, they give you powerful consultancy fee. You are happy to pay because your identity is paying you a lot of salaries. So you are happy to pay the consultancy fee. You also buy your drug. You spend 8,000 to 10,000 naira to buy a complete regimen of a particular dose, for example, which is what people are looking for in our rural communities where the majority of our people live in order to eat food. Okay, so that's why it is not integration that we are pursuing. We want to develop natural medicine into stable, safe, effective dosage forms, standardized, that's what standardization means, such that you can decide as a Nigerian that I have cold and catarrh, or that your doctor has diagnosed you and confirmed that you have tuberculosis, and the treatment you want is natural medicine. You do not want to take foreign medicine. That's where we are going. And you know, in this light, I want to thank the current House of Representatives, the 10th House of Representatives under Dr. Abbas Tajuddin, because a few weeks ago, the entire House passed a unanimous resolution that Nigeria must return to nature, and that the Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency should be capacitated, should be supported to ensure that this happen. Actually, that's what brought me to Abuja to engage with the People's Parliament, the House of Representatives, in this regard. So a lot of activities is going to begin to happen in that area now, because you ask, for example, that what are the challenges? These are the challenges. One, inferiority complex. You know, we are a people that were colonized, right? And unfortunately, I usually say unfortunately, we're not the only country that was colonized. But our problem is that after colonization, when the colonial masters left, we refused to shed the colonialism cloth that was given to us. That's the difference between us as a country and other parts of the world. So those things that colonialism brought to us, including the curriculum, our educational curriculum, including the religion we practice. By the way, I hope you know that all the religion that you practice is part of natural medicine. It's part of my mandate to ensure that our religious practices, because there are so many people in this country who, when they are sick, they do not go to any hospital. They just go to their religious homes, their churches, their mosques, their traditional religious practices and all of that. And the truth is that a lot of them get healed. Okay? So, but we need to have the documentation of all of these activities, so that we even know how much the religious sector is contributing to the well-being of our people. And it's a huge area, under our mandate. So one, that colonial mentality that if it is not from a foreign thing, it is not good, is a major challenge. Number two, the challenge of the medical or health professionals bad-mouthing or thinking that traditional medicine is not good enough. It's a huge challenge. And I say healthcare, including some doctors, some pharmacists, some nurses, medical labs, and health sectors, and educated people generally, which I also categorize into two. Why that happens? One, that some of these elites who go around saying a lot of giving the dog a bad name in order to hang it, are people whose training made them think that anything about their culture is not good. So they look for validation, right? So I call these people the deliberately mischievous people. They know that it is not true, but they think that in order to survive, they must push the narrative. Okay. Then the second group are the people I call the genuine ignorance. That is, they don't know. They don't know truly. So what they are saying, when they say traditional medicine is fetish, it is juju, it is voodoo, it is smelling, it's not good, it destroys, it is not because they are being mischievous. It is because they don't know. Okay. So what I also have solution for all of this kind of people.
The solution will come in now. Let me cut you in. So to draw the bottom line.
Okay.
We're talking about tuberculosis today, and I like how you have stated generally about health, the healthcare system, and what we should know, the challenges. And you stated that earlier on that tuberculosis is a very big concern, more than as the public are aware of it.
Yes.
So tuberculosis control currently in Nigeria needs every effective weapon
Yes.
to be put in
True.
place to fight it. So my question is, and you mentioned, yes, I cannot forget that you mentioned about scientific rigor, about regulatory concerns that needs to be put in place, and about how our healthcare system needs to be, needs to embrace innovation,
Yes.
needs to embrace innovations concerning traditional medicine. So my question is, what are the policies that should be put in place to regulate and promote traditional medicine for TB treatment, and how can we increase public interest?
Okay, so now fine, that is World Tuberculosis Day. The truth is, we have a lot of policies already, and those policies, all we need now is implementation. If we were to implement the policies that we have at this time, then we will be heading in the right direction. The TB control, TB prevention and control is TB prevention and treatment, right? We already have policies around that. I'm sure you have heard of DOTS, directly observed treatment short courses, which is what, that's why, for example, it's government policy that makes treatment of TB to be free. Okay, but there are still people who go to private sector to get their treatment, because it's not everybody that goes to public sector. So the policy of it being free is fine, but access is not there, because how many of the health institutions are available in where people are? Yes, the policy is wonderful. Like I said earlier, even if I'm going to get something free and I need to pay somehow to get to where that thing is, and I don't have the money to pay, I will not go to get it from that place. Okay, so in terms of policy, therefore, it is how that product should reach the people that we should begin to think of. And one of the ways by which, for me or for us, I and my colleagues at NNMDA and in Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, is the fact that government already have these parastatals, these agencies, which are supposed to be the field institutions for developing this. That's why, for example, at NNMDA, we have a roadmap on establishing what we call research farms in all the 774 local governments. And what those farms, and what those farms do is they plant where you get TB drugs, the soil where you can get TB drugs, the animals where you can get TB drugs, the minerals where you can get TB drugs, will all be in those research farms. So if we go to a community where tuberculosis is a major issue, the truth is, if based on our skill, we know that the solution from nature for that tuberculosis in that community is also in that community. So we cultivate that in that research farm of that community, which means you do not need people to travel 5, 10, 20 kilometers to go assess the TB drugs that have been imported again, because what they have in their backyard have been developed, have been prepared, have been made in a way that it is useful, it is safe, it is effective, and then it is appealing to the people of that community. So that's why I'm talking of implementation, because the policy is already there. The mandate legally is already there.
Okay.
The skill and professionalism, that is the manpower that we need to do it in Nigeria, is already there. Okay, so what we need now is, when you hear of political support, it's no longer about the policies. It is now, what is the funding that government provides? What is the funding that the private sector provides in order to ensure that this happens? Because many parts of the world where these things work well, the private sector contributes hugely to the success of this kind of programs. That's why you hear of, many of our children who jackpot today, they are jackpotting on funds, of a lot of private sectors in those countries. Okay, so but which private sector in Nigeria is supporting research and development.
That's a very important
so
question.
yes, so until we begin to do that, we will still be talking like parrots. Yes, so that's that's how it is. So implementation of policies that were, by the way, I should tell you that Nigeria's second edition of the traditional medicine policy was launched in September last year. Yes, that's
Bravo.
the second edition. I was privileged to be the keynote speaker. It was launched by Dr. Alausa when he was the Minister of State for Health in September last year. And Nigeria also has an official essential medicinal list. So you see, so when it comes, and this has never happened. This is the first time Nigeria is having an essential medicinal list. This is also the first time that Nigeria is having an institution that is capacitated and accredited by regulatory and appropriate authorities to ensure the education, to ensure the not just doing research and development and making products, but that the educational part of it, which is key, which is very key, because if people don't know, then what you don't know, you don't know.
Sure.
Okay, so that educational part of it is also a huge area that we have started in the last 18 months, and we are going to begin to have people that are at least are graduates of natural medicine in Nigeria with diploma qualifications and middle level manpower. And because of that, the traditional medical practitioners, those people we think don't know, I don't belong to that group anyways, but for the purpose of this discussion, that we think are not educated because they didn't go to university to use English to do study and write exam, and we think are not educated. We are now going to license them based on the knowledge classification and categorization that we are going to do, because if somebody speaks Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, or Igala very, very well, writes in it and provides healthcare services, the person is as knowledgeable as a professor. So that's why when you go to other countries, they get bachelor degree in traditional medicine of their country, master's degree in traditional medicine of their country, PhD in traditional medicine of their country. They are professors of traditional medicine in their country. So in Nigeria, through our agency, we are going to now, we have laid foundation now. We are moving to the next step, so that in the next 3 to 4 years, you begin to hear that people are going to be graduates in these areas and they do not speak English. Yes,
that's
many. Now let me tell you, you see, when you get scholarships to travel to some of these non-English speaking countries, or even English-speaking countries that have their own lingua franca, they deliberately put you in the class for the next 6 to 9 months, sometimes 12 months, to study their language, because it is their language that they will use in teaching, to teach in
Prof,
in
now
the
that
school.
we're talking about learning, when you were speaking about establishing the research farm,
Yes.
The research farm in
Yes.
774 local governments.
Yes.
I'm really concerned. That's an interesting move. I am wondering, will there be room for members of the communities to work as volunteers and they'll be trained? You're talking about the proper formal education now,
Yes.
where they get diploma. But people in communities may not be interested in going to the 4 walls of school. So will there be a room where we'll have community volunteers trained on how to cultivate and administer those natural medicine?
Thank you.
When that happens?
Thank you. Excellent question. And that is the reason, that's one of the reasons we are going to the community. We are used to convoking conferences in state capitals and bringing people. No, this government, we go to the people. We are not telling people to come to us. So when you hear, in fact, let me tell you, I only said 774 local governments because the committee that I discussed my roadmap, the NNMDA roadmap with at the National Assembly, said we actually said we want to go to the over 8,000 words, 8,000 political words, electoral words that we have in this country. But they said we should start with the local government. So, and like I said, our education is not English-driven education, okay? Now, so we have our instructional materials in the different languages. Yes. So we are not asking people to come to any class where professors will be teaching. No, you will see some of our teachers will be traditional medical practitioners themselves. For example, Nigeria has the best bone setting technology in the world. Bayelsa State, Imo State. Okay? Okay, so what do you want to teach the man that when the bone scatter, he can prepare it and he do it? What do you want to teach that man on bone setting when you don't even know what how the bone pieces are fixed together? So he is the professor of bone setting. You are to be the student. If I want to learn bone setting, I should sit down. Let that man be my teacher. Let's leave all this naked raw pride of speaking in this English. So that's the concept that we have, and that's what we are driving. That's what we are driving seriously. So that when we get, for example, we get to a local government and we establish this farm. You see, in this farm, what we call One Health approach to drug to health is what we are deploying. That is, on that farm, everything that you need is going to be in that place. Okay? So from cultivation. So the people who will be doing the cultivation they are not going to be staff of NNMDA from Lagos. No, it is the young boys and girls, men and women of that local government that will be engaged. That's why we say that for a single plant or herb that we cultivate in your community, it will employ, and the full spectrum to having our medicine, it will engage at least 3.8 million people. So what else will create job and wealth for people more than this type of
that.
and what I mean, from what I'm telling you, look at the beauty of the thing. It is agriculture that is the foundation. That the raw material is agriculture. You see those white tablets that you people see in our hospital right? Most of those white tablets, the source is the farm. But many people don't know. So that cultivation in the farm, that powder, before it becomes white, the cultivation is done, harvesting is done, it has been taken to the factory or lab and extraction has been done, then it becomes white, right? That white one is the one that comes to Nigeria. Then when we buy one tablet, what we have done is that all the people in Asia, for example, who worked on the farm, who cultivated it, who did weeding, who did harvesting, who did transportation, who did extraction before it became white, their salaries, we paid it from here. So it's called outsourcing of your own work, of your jobs. So we are here in Nigeria. We did not japa, but we are paying, we are funding, we are paying for the jobs that is being done.
We don't even know that we are doing
and then you stay here and you are ordinary market because you are lazy. So I
think that's why we're having this conversation.
So that's what we are changing. That's the narrative that the agency is saving, and that's why I'm very excited that we are being fully supported by the Nigerian Parliament and our minister. My minister is a businessman and he's fully behind us in this. Chief Uchenaji. And he's fully behind us in this. He launched 4 products. That's never been done in Nigeria before. We launched 4 products, innovative products at our agency, in this respect. And one of it, I said it that day. In fact, so a lot of things to say in this area really, but directly to the question of the people to be volunteers. We are not even talking about volunteer. You don't need to be a volunteer. You will earn from what you are doing. Yes, you will earn from what you are doing. You can't be planting, for example, bitter leaf. We have 5 hectares of bitter leaf. And we are saying you are a volunteer. No, you are not a volunteer now. You are working there. There will be that bitter leaf that you are tendering, that you are taking care of. Is being maintained in a way and standardized in a way that it will create market. So the revenue that the country gets from it, you get your own emolument from it. It's a huge proven, potent method of wealth creation and job creation across the globe. Sure. And I have done this practically. I'm not a executive chair DG. I'm a laboratory DG. I'm a field DG. Yes. I go to the field. I go to the field. Yes. I go to the field. I have farm in Nasarawa State here, in Karuya. I go to my farm there. Not my NNMDA farm or government farm, not personal farm, government farm. I go there with my staff and we work on it. We plant our zobo, we harvest our zobo, we make medicines from zobo in our agency. We are the only one that are doing it. So that's what we should do. If we do it well, if we do it well, right?
Yeah.
True. Let me tell you, if we do it well, nobody will leave this country.
True.
Anybody that is living has something else that is pursuing him or her.
Exactly.
Do you understand? But if it is because you are looking for something to do and you want to have pride in your... There's something called pride. Though. Everything is not money.
Yes.
There's something called pride, right? You see, when we talk about national security, it's not just soldiers that are involved in national security. The most important national security is food and medicine. The most important national security. See, let me tell you, like now, we import all our drugs into this country. So all a particular country needs to do is if they decide that they want to obliterate Nigeria from the surface of the earth, it's very easy.
Sending the drugs.
But the only thing is that, let me tell people, is those of you who are at least inside town, you are the ones that will die. The people in the village who are taking natural medicines, they will not die because they are not swallowing all these imported medications. So my job is, I and my colleagues, our job is to ensure that these natural medicines is, in a way that is available to our people, and they don't need to go to the backyard and be cutting leaves, making juice and drinking anyhow again, because we would have applied science and technology to making appropriate dosage forms for them for particular ailments or diseases that is bedeviling them in the community.
I like the fact that we are embracing innovation without compromising safety at this point in time.
No. Like so let me tell you, there's nothing that is as safe as natural medicine.
Yes.
So because one of the things I also hear people who don't know or who are mischievous say is that, are you sure of the safety? In fact, some people who even went to plenty school. Permit my use of language. You know, some people went to plenty school. If you are a professor like me, it means you went to plenty school now. They will even be telling you what is the dose of the bitter leaf that they are telling you that you should take.
But is that not valid? Because
it's
sometimes
valid.
you see
No.
that just
Let me
poured
tell
into
you how.
cups
Let me
and...
tell you how invalid.
Okay.
When you well, because this is an international media organization, let me not say something. So otherwise, when you go to a restaurant and you ask for akpu and bitter leaf soup, and they give you akpu and the bitter leaf soup, what is the dose of the bitter leaf inside that soup? What's the dose? You see, that's why it's my job to educate people, to enlighten people. Because that bitter leaf that is in that soup is not different from what I'm giving you. The difference is that it is not a soup that I'm giving you. It is medicinal soup that I have prepared. And because it's not taking care of hunger, you are asking questions. You see, when you are hungry and you go to a restaurant, you just believe that when they give me this food with my bitter leaf soup, with my oha soup, with my afang soup, you will eat it, to consume everything, you lick the entire soup and eat all this thing. You didn't bother about the dose. A lot of the times, the quantity you consume in that soup is not even, in fact, what we make into drugs is not up to 1/10 of what you have consumed. But we would have carried out scientific study, okay? Which is why we went to school. That's why I said it's not everything that is bad about the colonial curriculum. But our job, having gone for Western training, is to now apply it to developing our own community. That's our job, and that's what we should be doing. Our job is not to come back and become rebels or critics of negative critics of natural medicine. So we make it in a way that it is no longer soup that you have to look for container to pour the fluid inside, and then in 24 to 48 hours it begins to ferment and it's not good again. We would have made it into pharmaceutical dosage form, the same way you have foreign drugs that are in tablets or capsules or powders or teas, right? So we make them also into those forms, because there's no natural medicine that cannot be prepared in that way, including the ones that our traditional medical practitioners make as concoctions in their homes. We have converted a lot of the traditional medical concoctions for our traditional medical practitioners into forms that are either as powder, or they are in capsules or in tablets that they can give to people
Prof,
adequately,
Prof.
properly dosed.
Okay, Prof.
Yes.
I'm very fascinated by all of these things you've said, and I am concerned about, you spoke about Gen Zs, the young people.
Yes.
In all of these things, how
Yes.
is your agency carrying
Yes.
them along? Because
Okay.
when you talk about creating the awareness,
Yes.
the major part of people
Yes.
who need to know are those in school.
Yes.
Do we talk to people in secondary school? Do
Okay.
we talk to students in universities?
Okay.
How do we reach out to them to let them know that, yes, we can now rely on natural medicine?
Okay, thank you very much. You see, this is a very sensitive area for me. In the last 18 months of our administration, it will be 2 years in May, one of the things that we have done very well is to create what we call natural medicine ambassador.
Oh.
You people in the Gen Zs, you do, what is that thing they do that they
Influencers,
win
natural
money?
medicine.
No, there's something that you...
Social media campaign.
No, there's one program that they are always, that
Niger?
people go naked. Yes, Bibi Niger.
Oh.
Exactly. Bibi Niger. That, and the winner is always going home with a lot of money, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's Gen Zs, it's Gen Zs that do all those voting and all that, because it's voting. They spend their money to
Exactly.
do a lot of voting for people to win. Then when they win, I see it a lot, they buy car for the people. Some of them, when they are doing birthday, people will just go and contribute money. Okay, so now why am I saying this? I'm saying this because within 3 months of becoming DG, we were able to get a Gen Z, a 25-year-old girl, Meshua, is our ambassador. That's the first time a government agency will have an ambassador. So we deliberately got a Gen Z to be our face, to talk with the people in her own generation. And we are very happy with her, because instead of going for BB Niger, she decided to come for natural or traditional medicine, which is not an area that... so she's doing a lot of work in that area. But I agree that we should do better by engaging a lot of these young people. There's something we called the NNMDA volunteers. That's where we had a concept of volunteerism in July last year, but we needed some support from the private sector or government in order to be able to create these NNMDA volunteers, because we want them to be people, one in each of the wards. So we are talking of about 9,000 volunteers for us, and want all of them to be Gen Zs. So that is also one of the things that we have discussed. That is part of the roadmap that I discussed with the National Assembly. Now, but more importantly is the fact that we now have a school that has been accredited by the Federal Ministry of Education through the National Board for Technical Education, where you can learn and be certificated, and can learn and be certificated as a young person. So you know that in your own country, you can study the traditional medicine of your country and be a respected person, because you provide healthcare services to your people in your country.
Wow, that's
Yes.
very amazing.
Yes, so people like, you go to the university to study medicine, pharmacy, veterinary medicine, and all, and any course you want to study, you will also be able to go to the university, right, and study Nigerian traditional medicine. Once we start having graduates of natural medicine, then we'll have critical mass of ambassadors. That this is their own career, this is their profession. So they will talk about it and they will practice it. And you see anything that you do that has positive result, people will go for it. People will go for it. So you don't need to go and fight on the road before people will know that what you are doing is working. I'm a professor, but I don't know how to repair a car. If my car spoils on the road, I'm going to call my mechanic. My mechanic is probably somebody who did not go to secondary school. And I'm not going to ask for his certificate. I'm just going to be happy that he repaired my car. Okay? So that's how it is. If you go to some parts of the world, you come to a teaching hospital. A teaching hospital. Just like you have around us here. You decide whether you want to go to the left or you want to go to the right. The right, Western medicine, where you see Western trained doctors, Western trained pharmacists like me. The left, for example, maybe where you find traditional medical practitioners who also went to school and spent 5 or 6 years to study the traditional medicine of their own country. Yes. Yes. That's why in some of these countries, for example, in India, that's why there's a full ministry of Ayush. Ayurveda, yoga, Unani, Hida, you know, their own traditional medicine.
Okay.
Full ministry. So there's nothing like you are a minister of health or you are a minister of science and tech or you are a minister of education. Full ministry of his own. That's why the traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, is directly in the presidency. As far back as 1949, they had given it an autonomous. You know, these things must be done deliberately. That was why when the president was saying, went to Equatorial Guinea, I think whether it was, some few months ago, to say that all African heads of states, that there is the need for them to have deliberate and strategic support for research in indigenous medicine and local R&D, because that the solution to African problem is in Africa. I got excited. I said, yes, if your president is talking like this, it means that you know that your agency that you are heading, you have big hope.
True.
So as I'm renewing the hope of people in our culture, I'm also having my own hope renewed by my president that he is going to support me wonderfully in a way that I'll be able to be professionally satisfied that I was DG.
Thank you very much, Prof. You know, we are still commemorating World TB Day today, and we won't let you leave the studio without talking to the audience about how they can prevent tuberculosis.
Yes.
So as your...
Okay, thank you. Now, before I tell the audience how they can prevent tuberculosis, when I was growing up, when I was in primary school, like I said, I'm from a village. That village is actually called Agaliga in Kogi State, in Olamaboro local government. When I was in the village, there were some health care providers called Odubagiri.
Okay.
Odubagiri, they are, I don't know the name. That's how we call them in our village, Odubagiri. These people, they are more stringent than the policemen.
How?
What was their job? Ensure that your compound is clean. When I was in primary school, if those people, they come from the local government health department and your compound, there is grass or there is waterlogging, you are in trouble. Your father, your mother, the children, everybody is in trouble. We call them Odubangere. They had the power of arrest. Yes, they were arresting people. So we were always on our toe because they came once every month. So we do general sanitation every month to ensure no grass is everywhere, no water logging. You can't find it. Today, go around and see. Even in town, go around some places and see. Even in the town, you will see somebody that is jumping over poto in order to enter his or her house. You will see restaurants where people sit down. They are eating food, right? They are eating food. And you see that what they are eating, the one in the plate that they are eating, that's what they think they are eating. They are also eating a lot of the germs, which is in the air, that we don't see with our eyes. Okay? And the agent that causes tuberculosis, we call it Mycobacterium tuberculosis, is in the air also. Because once somebody has that infection from the droplet droplets or when he sneezes, it goes into the air, and it can stay there for some time, especially if there's no ventilation. It can stay for hours if there's no ventilation. Like in this place where we are now, if anyone were to have tuberculosis here and he coughs, sneezes, right? The agent, the microorganism, the mycobacterium, will hang here for the next 6 hours. So if it was active, anybody that inhales it, and there's what we call infective dose, depending on, and also a lot of factors actually, including immunity, but it is easy to get the infection as long as there's no ventilation. So first thing for prevention, hygiene.
Hygiene. Okay.
Yes. If you are always clean, not just tuberculosis, but because we are talking about tuberculosis, but most infectious diseases, they have run away from you. And a typical way to say that you are clean is that your hand is clean. If you want to know who is dirty, as soon as you look, you see the person, look at the hands. Yes.
I wanted to look at my hand.
If you want to know who is clean or dirty, just look at the person's hand. Okay? So, hand washing with soap and water. You don't need to wait for COVID-19 and Ebola to wash your hand with soap. Okay? Yes. So, hand washing with soap and water is a clean way. So, generally, hygiene. Then, we are blessed. Nigeria, we are blessed with rich biodiversity, especially plant biodiversity. A lot of our plants, green leafy vegetables, fruits, nuts that we have in this country have very potent antioxidant properties, very potent antimicrobial property. Mycobacterium tuberculosis is a microorganism. So when we say antimicrobial property, it means that thing can prevent or destroy the organism. There are two ways. It's either you are killing the organism or you prevent the organism from having good environment to survive. You can be a human being. You are alive.
But you're actually dead.
Yes, yes. But you're actually dead. Do you understand? So the same way, when you cut off the food for the organism, it's there in you, but it cannot cause problem for you. So many of us, in fact, studies have shown that most of us in Africa have tuberculosis, but it is not at the level that it can cause a problem for us unless we are now exposed to active tuberculi or active microbial organism, the tuberculosis organism. Then we now come down with it. So good and balanced diet. And when I say good and balanced diet, I do not mean going to
junks, not junks.
It's not all those also. Let me tell you, the best balanced diet is in our villages. You people in Abuja and Port Harcourt, you don't know.
I agree.
The best balanced diet is in our villages. Fresh vegetable, not all these vegetable they will harvest from farm. Then it will take 14 days to travel from Kebbi to Lagos. Then in Lagos, they will use water. In fact, do you know that gutter water, sometimes I see being used to wash fruits, to wash vegetables that they are going to sell to people.
Wow.
So what you are doing, if there is we are talking of tuberculosis, right? So if there is tuberculosis agent there, you are just
spreading it,
loading the thing with those things. You see, a lot of us buy granite and some of these nuts that are in bottles that have been used to carry sputum. Sputum is the cough that people. A lot of those bottles are not. We are not properly cleaned before they put those products in it. So if you consume them, so it all boils down therefore to hygiene.
Yeah.
So two major things I've said in terms of prevention, it is hygiene and then balanced diet in terms of leafy green vegetables, and then nuts, because they are potent
Thank you.
in all
Thank
of these
you.
things that
Thank
prevent
you.
the
Thank you.
the mycobacterium from surviving.
Thank you very much, Professor Martins. I'm sure Cynthia has a question, but I'm afraid she will have to ask you outside. So thank you very much for coming. I'm very sure that everyone here and watching us right now can agree that this has been such an insightful session.
insightful.
Thank you for telling us a lot about what NNMD is doing under your watch and what natural medicine should really do. I think I've said this to you, that we need DJs like you. We need more DJs like you in Nigeria to ensure that things really go well as planned. Because sometimes
You know, it's our country, right?
Yes, it is our country.
If you have not gone, me, I have gone everywhere. Oh. I have gone everywhere. If you have not gone, you will not understand.
Yeah.
If you have not gone, you will not understand. Forget it. Oh, many people that have gone there, now it's shame that it's not allowing them to come back. Oh, they know that it is not that they cannot. It's here you can shout and be calling Mr. President anything. My alawi is not big enough, and you are telling them go abroad there and tell.
That's a conversation for another day. I'm afraid we have to wrap up.
Because you are in your country.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a whole different conversation. Thank you so much for watching. This has been such an eye-opening discussion with Professor Martins Emeje, the DG and CEO of the Nigerian Natural Medicine and Development Agency. Thank you. We hope that when we call you again, you come, because it's like we cannot have enough. There's still more to say.
Me. I will come.
Okay.
But not come from Lagos. You should come and open in Lagos also.
Okay. So you who's watching, if there's one thing you must take away from here, understand that for you to prevent tuberculosis, ensure that your hygiene is intact and that you eat balanced diet. My name is Chinatu Ojin, and I've been with
Cynthia Bassi.
and we're saying bye